Junkie Nation, what's going on? Gorgeous George and goes back with a fellow Garcia. It's Steve Garcia, who's just signed on to fight David Onama, and this goes down. Let me see the 1st of November here in Las Vegas. So, Steve, you're back at the Apex, which
Yeah.
I love the Apex. I just don't like it when they hammer a certain fight at the Apex. But this time it's different. You're the headliner.
Yeah, man. One, I'm definitely caught in the middle with both of them. I love the convenience of the Apex. I love the PI being right there. Everything's right there at your disposal. But there's no audience. You know what I mean? That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get we want to wow the fans, right? Um. So yeah, but in this situation, I have a main event, so I get to I'm the last act you get to watch. You know what I mean? So how can you not love that? And I feel like there's a lot of up and down about this main event. But if you really want to know how Steve Garcia fights, this is the one to watch.
What do you mean? There's a lot of up and down about the main event. What did that mean?
Just kind of more just like I've seen a lot of just like comments about it being almost like they love the fight, but they think it's a lackluster main event. And I'm like, if you love seeing,
Yeah,
blood
they
and
can kiss
chingazos thrown,
our
bro,
ass.
you don't. Yeah, I was like, you must be
This
a
guy just had
casual, like
this
pretty,
guy just
pretty
had the record for finishes, man, in a row. Get off his
right,
nuts. Well,
right.
no, that's the wrong way to say it. Get off his back. There you go. Get on his
Um,
nuts. Whatever. But
Please
yeah,
don't.
no, no, some of you. No, seriously, Steve Garcia's up until his last fight, that was 5 straight finishes. That's not easy to do, folks, especially in the lightweight division. And Onama's also on a streak. I like this main event. We gotta turn the page, and there's new stars that come along and do their thing. But you definitely earned it, bro.
Thank you, man. I'm just trying to be undeniable, man. It's not the easy thing to do to go out there, like you said, finishing like, some of the best featherweights coming up. And a lot of the featherweights that I beaten are doing pretty decent. They're doing
Mm.
pretty well. So I like having that little feather in my cap, but I'm just looking forward, and looking ahead and seeing how I can get closer to that title.
You are very kind, Steve. You're right. You are a featherweight. I think I said lightweight earlier, and you corrected me without
Yes.
making me look like a fool. I'm already looking like a fool with the nuts comment.
I've had
Um,
a few flyweights, so it's all good.
mhm.
Yeah.
Did you say flyweights?
Lightweights.
Lightweights. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Lightweights.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Okay. Steve, we were talking earlier before the interview started about the cut, right? And so the PI, it benefits Vegas-based fighters the most. Anyone that either lives here or just does their camps here. You don't live here, but you have already come to the PI. They've already checked and scanned your body, told you how it works best, how to fuel it. And so you were telling us earlier, you have a contact there at the PI. And according to how far out you are, they send you your meal prep. I found that very interesting.
Yeah, if you're a UFC fighter and don't utilize the benefits of the UFC, the UFC PI, the people there, I highly encourage it because I make it a thing that I have to be down there at least a couple times a year just to make sure that like I am always in almost cahoots with them. And when I'm down there, I do the whole works. It's like a bunch of testing series. You do like your VO2 max, you do your strength training testing, you do like a DECA scan that like sees where your body is and how your body is metabolizing and stuff. And there's a lot of cool things that you can benefit from. And the dietitian part of it is something that I really take advantage of. And I work with a great guy's name's Glenn Castro. And I go down there. He's very in tune with where my weight's at throughout the week, what my diet looks like, and then they send my meals to me during camp. And they definitely try to make it as convenient as possible because they know we're always traveling to and from different training sessions and stuff. So that's nice. They're able to hook us up with an icon meal, which is great. I want to give them shout out because their food is great. Back in the day, it was always just like I said, chicken and vegetables for the most part. Now we get a little bit of variety here and there. So that's kind of one of the benefits of being a UFC fighter and having the PI and accessing it and utilizing it as best as possible.
Now that pisses me off even more when fighters miss weight. I think knowing that it's basically these are layup. Well, not a layup. I mean, it's obviously difficult to lose weight, but Yana Santos was mad because that's her fourth opponent in a row that
Yeah,
didn't make weight, and obviously that struggle, those last few pounds are very difficult.
yeah,
And the people that do make weight, um, you have to suffer, right? You want the other person to suffer, I guess, equally. But
sure. I
that's
think it's a
real.
little. I don't know how it is like out of the nation. I'm not too sure how all that works, but I do
Yeah.
know if you're in the nation, I believe you have access to all this stuff, and I've utilized it, and I've had issues with my own weight cut stuff. And when I went into the PI, they got down to like a lot of the reasoning on what was going on with me, like my medical stuff going on. And so they put me on like a supplemental regimen just to kind of try to get my body back into the swing of things and stuff. So I highly encourage it.
I don't remember you ever missing weight. Are you talking about contenders or whatever?
No, I didn't. I've never missed weight in like
Okay.
UFC bout, but like
Yeah.
when I was coming up. So after I want to say after I beat or after I fought Pena, I had two scheduled bouts. One was due to an injury, and one was due to the medical issues that I was having. And I ended up having like fungus growing on in my intestines,
Damn.
and then my liver was shot. So that also has to do with a lot of bad weight cuts. So I was on like liver supplements and medication for like over a year, and then I went to the PI, and the PI also helped me out with a lot of like different inflammation supplements that we were able to get on and get my body back on track because I was struggling, a lot with it.
Was it just the weight cuts, or was Steve Garcia a drinker back in the day?
I've never been drunk in my life.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I'm definitely not a smoker. Will I have a drink? Sure, I'll have a drink. Give me a pina colada. I'm a happy guy. But the no, it was mainly due to the weight cuts.
Got it. All
I
right.
used to fight at I used to
Go.
fight at bantamweight.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Goes. What do you have for our guest, Steve Garcia, who's headlining against David Onama on November 1st at the Apex?
So Steve, both of you guys have nice streaks. What do you think of his versus yours?
If you look at like my history and my streak that I've had, I've been able to finish people within the first two rounds. I kind of make it look a little. I mean, it can be a little bit gritty, but for the most part, I've been able to kind of make it look a little bit more, cleaner. Um, you look at Onama's his is a win streak, right? Like I have more of a finish streak. He has more of a win streak.
Mhm.
It only turned into a win streak because I lost to Cater. Or no, I didn't lose to Cater. I feel like I lost to Cater, but I didn't finish Cater. Um, and I think if you compare the two, I think he's had a whole lot more grittier, harder fights when it comes to trying to get the win. When mine's kind of been more with ease, I guess you could say. And there's nowhere. Not, that's just the only word that comes to my mind when I say that. Nowhere. It's not easy at all. But if you were to compare the two, I want to say like I have a way of finishing people a little bit with like more ease than he does. That would
Mhm.
probably be the best way I can compare it. I don't know.
This journey that you're on, now you're a main event, which we're all into. We, like George said earlier, we feel like you deserve something like that. So the first thing that people point to are 5 rounds, right? And I would imagine that a fighter on his way towards a title shot at some point would want to test themselves as far as they could go, but at the same time, you want to get in and out. If you can finish the
Yeah.
fight early, finish the fight early. What are your thoughts of being the main event, the possibility of this going 5 rounds, and what do you think that does for a fighter who's on a journey to fight for a title soon, as you may very well be?
I've always told my coaches, I was like, I want to train 5 rounds. That's what I want to be. I want to be a main eventer. I want to make sure that like, I'm ready for the title fight when it comes. So I always make sure that I've always trained for 5 rounds. I've always been prepared for 5 rounds. I've had, a fight or two of 5 round fights already in my past. We've done well in those situations. So I definitely feel like we'll be ready for this. And it was just only a matter of time of it happening. So I'm ready. I'm excited to go out there and be the guy that everybody is like waiting to see.
George, we might have to change our last name. He's holding Garcia up to a very high standard, and we're scrubbing it over here. Huh? He's
Are you
eating
guys both
clean.
Garcia?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're brothers.
No way.
There's
Hey.
three Garcias on here, and right now, we're not doing a good job holding up that Garcia name.
It's
So
all good. I'll try to represent the Garcia as best as possible. How about
there
that?
you go. Look, given the quality of your opponents, what you've been able to do right now, if you were to look at things, how far do you feel like how many fights do you feel you're out of a title shot?
Oh, that's right. So pretty much, I feel like if you want to come from like a pure single, as long as I'm getting these finishes and the opposition that I fight, I'd say about two more fights before they can really, really start looking at me as a top contender. I feel like the route that I've been kind of trending on, and it seems the trajectory that I've been pushed. I've been having to do a lot of fights just to get to this position. So I'm assuming, I'm gonna have to go the Max Holloway route where he almost has to beat everybody leading up to the title, and he almost kind of become the champion before the champion. And so I don't know. I'm not sure. You know what I mean? I feel like they're gonna give me like four more fights before I even have that opportunity. But let's just see. Let's just one fight at a time, and let's see who they give me. And I think that's gonna change a little bit because I also know that they push heavy on social media and stuff like that. So I'm trying to get back onto that type of situation to where I'm pushing that a little bit more. Because for me, um, what's really been excelling my career is winning, and how you win it matters. You know what I mean? So that's where all my eggs are right now. So I'm trying to grab an egg or two, put in this in the social media realm, and um, see if they can help me out a little bit.
Has the UFC explicitly told you just hop on social media or sell your fights or talk a little trash? Have they been, have they been more specific about what they want?
No, but obviously I have people around me. I have a great management team, and they try to help me out in those type of situations. They just kind of tell me the lay of the land type of how MMA and UFC works and stuff. And um, I know trash talking would excel me. I know getting people's faces would help me. But
Mm.
in my head, I have a son, and my son is gonna what? He's gonna like think that dad's over here doing that so that he could do that. Like I'm not gonna trade my moral values just because I want to please someone else that really doesn't care about me. I care about my kids. I care about my son. I want to set a good role model for him, and um, I'm not gonna change who I am. And like I said, if someone wants to talk, and wants to get in my face, I'll handle it. I'll handle it. Um, but if you want me to just go out there and just get into someone's face and just create this rah rah situation, um, nah, man, I'm not. I wasn't raised that way. I try to have high moral values. I try to go out there and be a man of integrity, and um, do my best. And does that sell to the people? No, they want to see. I mean, you're talking to the crowds of you know, the fans. You know what I mean? The fans want excitement. The fans want drama. Why do you think all these drama shows are just so popular? You know what I mean? And they don't get the Jersey Shores anymore and stuff like that, and the Kim Kardashians for the women. So what is that for men? It's fighting. You know what I mean? I understand that. So what does that mean? That means I got to take off everyone's head. That's what that means. I got to take everyone's head off before, I start talking, bad about people. Before I start getting in people's heads, I ain't got no games to play here. So, um, if you fight Steve, I'm coming for your head.
Man, Steve just emasculated me. I actually watched a couple seasons of the Kardashians.
My bad, bro.
To be fair, there's been some good scraps on the Kardashians, and
I,
on
I've
Yeah,
seen I've seen a few social media clips, but no, I don't really watch that. But my wife, she knows all about all that.
one of them used to date a Laker. So I was in like, this was like 10, 12 years ago.
Yeah. Well, they just
They're a
love the
little
drama,
younger
man.
then too. Huh? What's that?
Yeah, they just love the drama. You know what I mean? The
Yeah.
girls are just so they gravitate towards it. And like for me, I'm like, all right, what's that for men? Like they want to see beef between two dudes that are about to fight, right? I
Hmm.
understand it. I understand it. I get it. But you know what? I got a little guy that watches every move I make. You know what
How
I
old is
mean?
he?
So he's 5.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a
Very
sponge,
cool.
man.
Does he go to the fights in person or watch on TV at home?
No, we're not at that point yet. So I don't let him watch. My mother-in-law, after I won, then she let him watch it. But me and my wife, because it was I want to say it was after the I think it was the Nelson or the Costa fight, but my son was just over there just dropping elbows on a pillow, just dropping
Mm.
elbows. And me and my wife like look at each other and we're like, and he's like making these sound effects and stuff. And I'm like, where did he get that? You know what I mean? He sees me train like in the gym and stuff, but it
Mhm.
was just like out of the blue. And so my wife called her mom and she's all, yeah, he saw it, but after he won. And so we kind of like laughed, but we're like, man, we just, you just gotta be careful because my son, I don't want him to do this. If I'm being clear with like honest with you, I don't want him to do this. Let me do it. Go get you an education, get you a job that doesn't allow you to get punched in the face. But I won't ever like completely discourage him. I just want him to try everything else and see what he really, really likes to do.
What
Okay.
sport, if he said, nope, I want to play a sport, which one would you push him towards?
Golf.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, push him to golf.
Do you personally play golf and you find it to be a fun game,
Ton
or
of golf.
are you
Ton
staying
of
away
golf.
from head trauma, or what do you, oh, you like
Yeah,
golf?
love golf, man. Big golfer. I had the UC come over this past weekend. They followed me around for a couple days, and they got some pretty cool videos and shots, and it was pretty sweet to kind of watch it play back. But I love golf. The game of golf is so there's it's tough in so many aspects. You're hitting this tiny little ball like 5 foot ball, lengths away from you, and you got to put in this little bitty hole. You know what I mean? So it's very tough, but I
Mhm.
don't have to get punched in the face. It's a good time. You know what I mean? Usually with a good group of people that you surround yourself with, I can be competitive against myself, against the course, against others. You know what I mean? You saw that competitiveness, which I have. Um,
Are you
so yeah,
good or
I
you a
like golf.
hacker?
Am I what?
Are you good or you a hacker?
I'm okay. I'm
Yeah.
okay. Here in New
You see,
Mexico,
see
I
and
probably shoot.
Gaethje playing a lot here in Vegas. You think you could take them?
Yeah, well, I talked to him because he came for the APFC card that we had here in Albuquerque, and I was like, "Dude, you bring your clubs?" And he's like, "No." He says, "I see you guys have a bunch of like golf courses." I was like, "Bro, bring him next time." I was like, "We'll play." He's like, "Yeah, absolutely." He's like, "I want to try this course right here." And I was like,
You
"Yeah,
talking
dude." I
about
was like,
Gaethje or DC?
Gaethje, DC
Okay.
don't want it. DC don't want it. Yeah, he don't want it. No, Gaethje's all about it. And honestly, I've seen a few clips of Gaethje, and man, that is good. I'll shoot anywhere from like mid 85s to like 90,
Oh,
depending
do
on the
you?
day.
Okay.
So that's kind of like where I'm at. Um, when I go to a new course, if you don't really know it, you should tend to shoot a little bit higher. But yeah, I mean, I'm not the best golfer, but I can definitely play.
I hope our editorial sees the interview and recaps it. DC don't want none in golf. Steve
He don't
Garcia.
want it, man. Like the last time we had a conversation, he's like, I'm almost there. He's like, I'm like low 90s. I was like, bro, I've seen how you play, man. I seen YouTube videos. You kicking the ball in the fairway. I see you how you play, bro. But no, no, we talked, and he's like, next time you're in Vegas and we're all in Vegas, we'll all go play. I'm like, okay, no problem. We'll see if that happens.
One last question. Going back to the food stuff, or actually more about your body chemistry, your body scan. Tell me something that surprised you when you got the results. Like, was there a good and a bad? Hey, we need to improve here. But boy, this you knocked it out of the park. Like when it came to like I don't know your blood panel, or maybe you had a higher vertical than you thought, or tell us about that part.
Uh, a lot of interesting stuff has changed. I've been in the UFC for 5 years, and what I will say is, from the moment that I got into the UFC and
Hmm.
compared to what I'm at now, it's almost night and day. So when I first got in the UFC, they did the DECA scans, they did all the testing and stuff, and let's just say the best way I could say it, I was almost like at the low end of the featherweights
Yeah.
when I first came in, and by right now, I guess we'll just to date. I'm almost at the top. You know what I mean? As far as output, as far as body composition, as far as the difference between. I'm like, let's just say I'm the most improved. You know what I
Got it.
mean?
Got it. Yeah.
That's probably the best way to say it is I'm one of the most improved fighters in the featherweight division.
So we won't get into any
yeah.
detail, but I think what you're saying is, let's say it took you 10 minutes to run a mile. Now you run it in 6 or whatever. And I guess, do they compare you? Do they actually tell you how other featherweights, like, is there a chart, or do they just tell you, hey, look, you're in a certain percentile?
I get it's kind of more in a certain percentile, but it's the ones that will go to the PI and do the testing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't even know how many featherweights there are. Let's say there's like 70 featherweights. I'm sure not every featherweight has been in the PI and got the testing. So let's say out of the 50 that may have gone, you know, I was at the let's just say I was like, you know, I don't know, at the bottom, you know, and then as times progressed, now you're gonna see me. I'm at the top. You know, it's almost like the career. It's almost like the fight. Like I was starting on at the very beginning on the early prelims, and now I'm a headliner now. So kind of more or less how that correlates.
That's cool. I like it. All right. Well, Steve, thanks for braving through the little deal there that we had. We had an interruption, but Goes will tie that up. Thanks for the time today, I guess is what I wanted to say, and answering all these questions. And it's been great kind of catching up with you every time you fight and seeing the progression all the way to a headliner against David Onama on November 1st at the Apex. Enjoy all the attention. You deserve it. And hopefully you just keep taking those next steps, man, on your quest for the title.
Thanks, man. We're on our way. So, but thank you guys for bringing me on. MMA Junkie has always been, you know, one to kind of, you know, talk about me a little bit. So thank you guys for doing that.
All right, you got it. Thank you, man.
The Garcias got to stick together, guys. Come on.
Exactly.